just in terms of a quick overview of it, I believe it was on, June 16th, Mrs. Griffin sent out an email asking, if any of the Encore teachers would be, willing to kind of undertake a data project. And so in terms of the ones that jumped on board, we had Mrs. Green here, Mrs. Jareño, Ms. Scott, Mr. Zamanis, and myself. I believe Mr. Willison was on at first, and then he had to step down. And then also Mr. and Mrs. Griffin were on, and Mrs. Dolph as well. So that was the committee. Basically, the whole mission of it was for us to kind of dig into some of the data, the SBAC testing data from the 2018-19 school year. That was the last year that we administered the SBAC, also referred to as the CASP, California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. And so that's the state test that they do in the spring. We didn't administer that last year due to the COVID conditions and everything. And so basically what we wanted to do was try to kind of, maybe tell a different story or paint a different picture that is not available in Dashboard. If you've ever been on California Dashboard, they, I guess, kind of, measure and rank and rate schools based on certain criteria. And they look at, for example, like attendance rates and graduation rates and suspension rates. And then they also look at, whether or not we had, positive growth in the SBAC in the test. So there's they test in 7th grade for ELA and Math. They test in 8th grade for ELA and Math, and then in 11th grade for ELA and Math as well. And they test grades 3 through 8, and then they take a break 9th and 10th grade, and then 11th grade they resume. And the idea is that the 11th grade test is supposed to be kind of a summative or cumulative test that reflects, all the standards that are covered in 9th, 10th, and 11th. So, and we wanted to maybe, just compare, get some numbers and compare Encore to the surrounding districts, the neighboring districts. So we looked at the 6 main districts in the high desert: Hesperia, Unified, Victor, Apple. We had Snowline, Joint, Lucerne, and Barstow. And then we also compared us to 4 of the main districts from down the hill. So that would have been Colton and Jurupa. I believe we had San Bernardino City in there, and Colton, was it Fontana, I think was the other one. I have it in here. And so what we wanted to show was that, we were doing, especially with this being a charter renewal year, and with a WASC visit as well, we wanted to have some, some good solid evidence here, just some kind of raw data that we've converted into graphs, just to show that we are doing at least as good of a job, if not better, in terms of educating our students when comparing us to the districts, from which we gain most of our students. So the reason why we looked at those 4 districts was because we're, I guess, a good number of the down the hill students that are transferring up to the high desert for this year, they come from those 4 main districts. And so in terms of, the results, what we ended up getting, it, was very pleasing, and it was really awesome to be a part of this group and to kind of, paint Encore and at least our test scores in a really awesome light. And I think if you haven't seen the results yet, I think you'll be definitely pleased with them, because what we've determined through crunching the numbers and through, translating them into graphs, we've basically shown that Encore is in almost every category. We're near the top in most cases. There are a couple cases where we're kind of in the middle, but that's the minority. That's only a couple of them. The majority of them were near the top. In some cases, we're at the top. And so I'll kind of do a quick overview of those graphs. The first thing here, this is the spreadsheet that we did. This was phase 1 of it. And so we divided this among ourselves. Mrs. Dolph set up the spreadsheet here. Rashad in records, he got us a list of all the students that tested, 7th, 8th, and 11th grade students that tested from that year. Their ID numbers there, in addition to their home districts. So the districts that they would be going to, in the event if they were not going to Encore. And so the way we basically approached this here, you can kind of see the breakdown. So let's look at this student right here. We have students' home district was Adelanto Unified. At least this was a 7th grade, by the way. If you look at the bottom, there's 7th grade, there's 8th grade, and then there's 11th grade. They would be going to Columbia Middle School, right? Because it's a 7th grade student. And then right here, we see their score, their Encore ELA score from the SBAC, 2478. There's their math. And then that is what the district school did. So the district school did 2463 and then 2411. And so in that case here, this Encore student outperformed the district. They did better in both categories. And so we have this final column where we just put notes. So Encore scored better in both, or Encore scored better in one, or whatever it may have been, or in some cases the district may have scored better. Oh yeah.
And I want to add to it. As you can see there, he's pointing out the school, not just the district. So you have the district scores, but that's also reflecting on the school that the student would have attended.
Yes, yeah, definitely, good point. Yeah, thank you. And if you guys, anybody has any questions at any point, comments, yeah, please feel free to to chime in here. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And this is, and so that's what we did. We got access in TOMS, that's the test operations management system. That's where we could actually run reports and gain the student data. And then we just looked up the district schools data on dashboard, on California dashboard. So that was the first phase. And then I'll skip over a couple slides here. Then on the next phase, we went on to organize the data into graphs. So that was kind of the next phase there. And some of the graphs we kind of started on more of a broad level. So we just wanted to kind of compare Encore to the districts overall and what was the district average score. And then we went into a much more kind of itemized level where it was disaggregated, where we looked at the district schools and we actually compared Encore to the various schools within the 6 districts in the high desert. So we could kind of get an even closer glimpse there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let's jump into 7th grade. And like I said, I'll just kind of give you guys a quick overview where we ranked for each one. So this is based on that final column on the spreadsheet here. Out of 180 students in 7th grade that tested, we can see here that, let me zoom in. So 101 of them, out of 180, 101 of them did better. These are our Encore students in 7th grade, did better in both math and ELA. And then you can see 16 of them did better just in one subject, in ELA. So, you're looking at 117 out of 180 did better in both. And that is basically the same trend that we get in 8th grade and the same trend that we got in 11th grade. Only 35 did, in 35 cases, did the district do better out of those 180 students that we had tested in that year. So, so that just is kind of a broad overview of how our students are faring overall versus the districts. Then we look at the 7th grade mean ELA scores. So there's Encore there, and that's us compared to the 6 districts in the high desert. You can see with 7th grade ELA, we came in 3rd. Snowline outperformed us, Apple did, but the difference here was pretty negligible in those cases. It wasn't like a big drastic difference. So we came in 3rd there, near the top. If you look at our 7th grade mean ELA scores versus the districts down the hill. So Moreno Valley, okay, I was it wasn't Fontana, it's Moreno Valley. So Colton, Parupa, Moreno, and San Bernardino. So we came in just a hair under San Bernardino City there. When we go to 7th grade math, we come in 4th place, I believe, at 7. So, kind of solid upper to, middle area of the pack there. And again, the scores are really close. Snowline is the only one that really had kind of a drastic edge on us. And then compared to down the hill, we also, I believe we come in 2nd to last there. Yeah, we outperformed Moreno Valley, but again, very close. This one is not even a full point ahead of us. So then we go on to 8th grade. And you can see here, out of 140 students that tested, 47 of our Encore students did better in both categories, and compared that to 27 in the district. And then we get sort of it's kind of very, definitely variable across, the remainder of the students. So in some cases, 21 Encore students did better in ELA. We had somewhere there wasn't data found. If either, I think what that was the students they simply didn't test that year. The data was not available in the TOMS system. And then if we look at 8th grade ELA here for the high desert, we came in 2nd place, right behind Snowline, and pretty close too. But you compare us also. One thing I wanted to point out too was if you look at Hesperia, Unified, and Victor, those are the 2 districts from which we received, I would say the overwhelming amount of students. So just looking at that spreadsheet, we had a lot of students that came from those districts. And in 5 of the 6 testing categories, so 7th grade math and English, 8th grade math and English, 11th grade 5 of the 6 for both of them, we outperformed them. So, and with Hesperia, like it's pretty significant. It's not just a couple points. It's in some cases a couple dozen points. So that is our ELA. ELA for in the high desert. Here's our 8th grade math for in the high desert. So out of the 7 districts, you can see we came in 4th place, but again, kind of pretty close there. For ELA down the hill, we came in 2nd, but a very, very close 2nd. And then for 8th grade down the hill math, this was kind of our Achilles heel, I guess. We were lowest here. But one thing I think that was worth pointing out was this was the year that, so Mr. McBride had to, he stepped down, and then they had a series of substitutes. And so this was kind of a year of transition for them, and kind of a rocky year for them before we were able to get a stable full-time teacher in their 2nd semester. So, and then we go on to 11th grade. So the last set here, we had 112 students that were tested, and we can see here that Encore did better in both 47 instances. So kind of again, it's a similar story where we have overall our students are doing better in both categories compared to where they stood with the district. And for 11th grade mean ELA, you can see there, Snowline is really close to us, but in that instance there, we come in at the top, and then with math, we come in, let's see, that is 4th place out of 7. And then for down the hill, we also come in the top, and then for math, we are 2nd place out of the 5 there. So. And then the rest of the graphs here, there's like 20 more graphs. These are the disaggregated ones where we broke it down by the schools in each district, and we tried to color coordinate these. So here's 7th grade HUSD. We have, in terms of the target lines here, we have Encore ELA and Encore Math on both. And then Cedar, Hesperia, Ranchero, and kind of going with their school colors there. And we have that for 7th grade, for 8th grade, and then we have it for 11th grade as well. And we do that for each of the 6 districts up here. So there's a Hesperia, there's a Victor, Apple, and Snowline, Lucerne, and Barstow. So, and so kind of wrapping it up here, coming to the end in terms of the implications of it. Overall, we were definitely pleased and proud of where we stand with those test scores. It shows that we're definitely a highly competitive campus, I think, when you compare us to our district counterparts, especially in the high desert and down the hill as well. I told when we gave this report to the academic teachers, told them that, yes, we look good compared to the districts up here. We're still not quite meeting the state standard though. So that's kind of one thing that we wanted to keep in mind moving forward is, we've kind of, in a sense, I see us as kind of reclaiming based on this data, because we haven't done anything like this for the years before that, but just based on this data, I kind of see us as reclaiming our elite status, I would say. I remember when we had API, the Academic Performance Index, and they did the state testing with all the subjects. Encore was, consistently, it was ranked very high in the districts in the high desert. It was usually only, sometimes Snowline outperformed us, but, and I see us kind of reclaiming that status. But I just wanted to tell teachers, kind of moving forward, just keep in mind, we shouldn't become complacent over this. We still don't quite measure up to where the state standard is. We do come close in some categories, but, we're not exceeding it. So that's kind of where I'd like to see us go, like moving forward with that. So cool. And so that's about it. And, if, like I said, anybody would like to see that, board members, you guys, everybody has the same report, but just in document form. But if anybody else would like this, by all means, let me know, and I will, I'll send this to you. So thank you, everybody, for your time. I know numbers are, not necessarily the most exciting thing, but, it's raw data. It's incontrovertible. You can show the districts, hey, we're, doing not too shabby of a job here with educating our students. So thank you, guys.
How does the SPED population and percentages kind of play into those numbers?
Well, for us, we test everybody. That was something that came up when we did the data presentation with the staff. And that was that, for example, I believe it was university prep, where they, they dismiss students going into second semester if they have, I believe it's lower than a C. And so that in some ways is not quite as kind of equitable of a testing field, as what we do, where we test everybody. And, same with Lewis Center as well. There's kind of a high attrition rate, I guess, for some of their high school students, because those students are, maybe selectively removed if their grades are not on par where, they want them. So, which again, we test everybody, and we don't have that, that sort of approach of almost like preferential testing, I guess, is what it may be called. So I think, yeah, we test everybody, we include everybody in there. And I know on dashboard, if you look at that, if you pull up the Encore account there is one of the criterion that they have there deals with EL populations, and I believe also with SPED populations. But the data that we did doesn't look at that, it just includes everybody together. So.